let's talk about school. We all went through it, but here's a question. Is the system we have today really preparing kids for the world they're about to inherit? A world that's changing at like lightning speed? Are we just teaching them to pass tests, or are we teaching them to thrive?
So let's start with this number, 87%. That's the percentage of young people around the world who say they feel a personal responsibility to make the world a better place. That is a huge, powerful feeling. They're ready to tackle the big stuff. Poverty, climate change, you name it. The question is, does their education give them the tools to actually do it?
I love this quote from educator Bronwyn Joyce. She says, "The students we're now teaching, in 10 years' time will be working in jobs that haven't been invented at the moment." I mean, just let that sink in. We're not just preparing kids for the future. We're preparing them for a future we literally can't even picture yet. That changes the entire game.
So what's driving this massive shift? Well, it's a perfect storm, really. You've got AI, which is completely rewiring every industry out there. You've got globalization, connecting all 7 billion of us, with economic power moving around the map. And on top of all that, we have these huge shared global challenges, things like climate change, that don't care about borders. The world is just different now, and school needs to be different too.
This really gets to the heart of it. What's the whole point of school anyway? When students were asked what they think adults want for them, the #1 answer was to have a good career. Makes sense. But when you ask the students what they want, it's bigger. They want practical skills for sure, but they also want to actually understand the world around them. And right there, in that gap, that's where the conversation needs to happen. So if the old model isn't quite cutting it, what does it even mean to be ready for life today? That brings us to our first section, where we're going to try and redefine that. There's this big idea that's been gaining a lot of ground, and it's called global competence. Now, that sounds kind of academic, but it's really powerful. It's not just about knowing more stuff about other countries. It's a whole skill set. It's the ability to look at an issue, to really understand where someone else is coming from, to talk to people who are different from you with respect, and this is the big one, to actually do something to make things better for everyone.
Okay, so how do you get there? The OECD broke it down into 4 pretty clear steps. It starts with teaching students how to be investigators, to really examine issues. Then you move on to understanding different perspectives, stepping into someone else's shoes. The third piece is learning how to interact, how to actually communicate across cultures, and all of that builds toward the final step, taking action. It's a journey from knowledge to impact.
All right, that all sounds great in theory. But what does it actually look like when you put it into practice? Let's dive into that in Section 2, the global classroom. So, this change is happening at a really high level. We're talking about entire countries rewriting their national curriculums. You've got countries like Bolivia putting climate change right into their official lesson plans. And in Kenya, they're making a massive push to give students skills that help them connect and collaborate with the rest of the world. It's becoming national policy.
But it's not just coming from governments. As Bronwyn Joyce puts it, a lot of this is being built from the ground up by teachers who really believe that we're all in one big classroom because we live in one big world. These are the folks on the front lines, creating these connections one student, one project at a time.
And today, technology makes that one big classroom totally real. You have platforms like Iron, where students from like 60 different countries can all work together on the same project. You've got pen pal schools for virtual conversations. I mean, there are first graders in the US having weekly video calls with a school in Indonesia. They're building real friendships halfway across the world. How amazing is that?
You see, this is about so much more than just learning facts. It's about building skills you can actually use. And that brings us to Section 3, building skills, building empathy.
And if you want to know what skills are needed, just ask the students. They are being crystal clear. 61% say they're not getting enough digital skills like coding. And even more, get this, a whopping 71% say they're learning little to nothing about basic life skills like how to manage your money. They're practically shouting for an education that connects to their actual lives.
So how in the world do you teach something as complex as empathy? Well, UNESCO came up with this brilliant and simple method called story circles. Basically, you get in a small group, and one by one, each person shares a little personal story. But here's the crucial part.
While someone is talking, everyone else just listens. No questions, no comments, no interruptions. It's an exercise in pure, focused listening, and it works wonderfully.
And we know it works. UNESCO tested this all over the planet with all kinds of different people, and the results were just incredible. People consistently said they walked away with stronger skills in tolerance, empathy, and critical thinking. They learned how to listen not just to respond, but to actually understand.
And sometimes it can be even simpler. Here's this great story about a teacher who just hit pause on the regular curriculum for a week. He created something called the Compliments Project. Every day, one student would sit in the hot seat, and their classmates would take time to write down and then share real, genuine compliments about that person. The whole goal was just to build a culture of kindness. It shows you that sometimes the most profound lessons don't come from a textbook.
Now, this is a really inspiring vision for education, but let's be realistic. It's not a walk in the park to make it happen. And that brings us to our final section, the path forward.
So, what are the roadblocks? Well, the challenges are real. Funding can be a major issue. Teachers definitely need more training and support. And how do you measure something like empathy on a multiple-choice test? It's tricky. But look at the other side. The opportunities are massive. Young people are demanding this change, governments are starting to get on board, and we have technology that makes connecting the world easier than it has ever been in human history.
So we'll end by coming full circle, back to that big question. What if we just shifted our entire perspective? What if the main goal of school wasn't just about preparing you for a career, but about preparing all of us to build a better world together? What if education's highest purpose was empowering every single young person to create a future that's more just, more peaceful, and more sustainable for everyone? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.